if I could, I'd like everyone to put their hands together for Nitin Gupta, who is founder and CEO of FlytBase.
Hello, everyone, or I should say, howdy, Houston. So, how is everyone doing this afternoon? So let me start by, first of all, thanking EDR and Sean for putting up this great show. And this is such an important event. And like Xavier mentioned, that things are moving at warp speed right now. And this event becomes even more important because the need for collaboration is more than ever. And let me highlight that, let me discuss this as we go through this presentation today. So I'm Nitin Gupta. I am the founder and CEO of FlytBase. So we started FlytBase about 10 years ago. My personal background is in drones, robotics for last 25 years or so. So I graduated from IIT Bombay in India and did my master's from University of Maryland. So I've been an aerospace engineer working on drones, robotics, putting these systems together, making them autonomous. So all this interesting geeky stuff. And then we started FlytBase to bring all this technology to commercial applications, that how do we deploy these drones, these autonomous systems for oil and gas, for construction, for mining, all kinds of industrial use cases. So we have been at it for about 10 years. We have done like close to 80 deployments with large enterprise customers. And these are, again, customers in all these different industrial sectors. We have a partner network of about 140 global partners spread over 40 countries. And these are partners who we work with in order to do the final deployment, because we are more of a technology provider, and we work with several partners for actual deployments. So we have done these deployments across sectors over last, so most of it has accelerated in last 2 years. So most of these deployments have happened in last 2 years. So including oil and gas companies, mining companies like Anglo American, Statnett, that is the energy company in Norway, CSX Rail, of course, in the US, Excel Energy, and a lot of others in Europe, in Southeast Asia, in Australia. And all these places, what we now see is there is a growing interest in adopting all this technology, that is robotics, and also coupling that with AI. And that is going to be the most focus of my talk today. So AI superpower has become available, right? And many of you must be looking at the news and looking around like what's happening. And a lot of power has become available, and a lot of things that were just not possible 18 months ago, today have come into the realm of possibility. And this is a very transformative moment for all of us. And that is why things are moving at warp speed. You see so many updates, so much excitement, so much is happening every day. And how do we translate all that into actual physical operations at our sites? That's the challenge, that's the question that we are trying to answer. And the question no longer is, will AI be useful for my site? Of course it will be. I think everybody now agrees that yes, AI is transformative. And whatever we have seen in last 18 months with generative AI is very different from what we used to do with AI 18 months ago. Now, the only question is how fast can we adopt it? How fast can we put that AI to actual use for our physical world? And this is where we see FlytBase, we have been working at the intersection of those two things, the physical systems, your drones, robots, all those systems, and intelligence or autonomy, like how do we put it together? And now working with domain experts, people like you from the energy sector, similarly from mining sector, we are trying to figure out, okay, how do we bring all this technology to physical sites? Recent report from McKinsey says that because of this generative AI, there will be an additional unlock of value somewhere in the region of $390 to $550 billion. And this is on top of whatever we used to do with AI. This is just because of generative AI, things that have become possible only recently. And all this value will be distributed not equally. What I mean by that is there will be some companies who will move fast, who will be able to do that transformation, because it needs complete rewiring of how you think, how you act, how you adopt this technology. And this is very different from what we used to do earlier. And there will be some who will really take a lion's share of this value, and others will lag behind. And that is something that is very important for us to understand, that how do we maximize or how do we really get the bigger share from this value that will be unlocked because of all this technological revolution. The moment of convergence is here. What I mean by that is There were these pieces which were all separate, and only recently all of these are coming together. The first piece is edge AI. And what I mean by that is the ability to deploy these algorithms or these systems on the edge. And this is very important, especially for critical infrastructure, where you cannot just deploy or do things in the cloud, because there are a lot of concerns around data privacy. There are concerns around being able to do things in real time. So because of multiple reasons, it becomes important that do we have the technology to be able to deploy all these algorithms, all this power at the edge, so that it is completely contained within your environment. And this has happened very recently, that now we have very advanced AI models that are very lightweight, that can be deployed on edge infrastructure, so you can really harness this power at the edge. The second is autonomous systems, of course, because just compute is not good enough. Because just compute, you will be able to do a lot of reasoning, you will be able to understand the data, but how do you actuate on the real world? And for this, being able to connect this intelligence with real hardware, with robots, with drones, and having these advanced systems that are safe, that are reliable, that can work on our physical sites becomes very important. And this is again something that has come together in last about a decade or so, that we finally have humanoids, to some level, but they are getting more and more capable every month today. We have now robotic dogs and of course drones, very capable drones with very capable payloads and all of those things. And the third piece is domain expertise, that whatever is our domain expertise, how do we marry it with AI? Can AI really understand our domains very well? And this is again something that has unlocked very recently, that now you can have small language models or specialized fine-tuned models that can understand your domains and really work very closely with you to solve those complex problems. So combination of these three things is what is explosive, what is really making that transformation happen today, and we are at the cusp of all of this is just coming together. So what is today possible? So earlier, most of our maintenance used to be reactive. So you had to go look for problems, and once you find a problem, you go and fix it. It's all becoming predictive, right? And we have been talking about these things for last decade or so, but a lot of these things were kind of POCs or trials, and people were experimenting and showcasing, and it would work for some very select use cases, but not for the generic use cases. Now with generative AI, finally it is possible to do this at scale, and it can be generalized to a wide range of problems. So you will see a massive shift in terms of what was promised a decade ago but never realized to what is finally becoming actual possible and realizable. Similarly, instead of sending humans for inspections or sending them to dangerous locations, now we finally have systems that are very reliable, like dog drones or your autonomous ground robots that can go to these dangerous locations, get the job done, and you don't have to send any humans there. Then instead of optimizing things manually, because all the software that we used to write so far was deterministic code. So all the optimizations, everything had to be done by humans. Somebody had to go in, provide those insights, and improve the algorithms. This is the first time that we now have living software. The concept of living software is where the systems are self-learning. You have reinforcement learning where you provide new data and it keeps improving, keeps developing better and better models and able to predict things much better. So that concept of living systems or living software where it is able to do all of this has now become possible. And then finally, earlier, you had to have your best experts deployed at a few sites because you do not have the same level of expertise across all your sites. All your manpower, all your people will not have the same level of expertise. But now with AI, as you work with AI and as AI learns and adapts to your sites, you can have the same level of intelligence deployed at scale. You are no longer restricted to the level of intelligence or level of smartness you have at different sites. So all this is no longer science fiction. It's already becoming a reality. The proof point is here, and there are now reports. So there is Plant Services magazine, which had this case study, and this was published actually quite a while ago. And in AI world, it is like ages ago because this was published more than 6 months ago, where they showed how a major oil and gas company is already realizing substantial gains, substantial savings by deploying these intelligent systems. And as part of this case study, they showed how preventing a single failure with a compressor saved them $10 million. and the potential impact across all their offshore facilities is up to $800 million annually. And this is the kind of impact that was just not possible 18 months ago. So that is the massive shift that we are beginning to see. The urgency becomes because of many factors. One of the major factors is the workforce crisis, right? So if you again look at reports, there are reports that say 50% of our workforce will retire in the oil and gas industry in the next 5 to 10 years. And this is something that you cannot just fix by hiring because it's such a massive gap. 50% of your workforce will no longer be available to service these sites. The second factor driving urgency is the regulatory pressure. There are stringent norms that need to be followed, and it's becoming harder and harder to catch up with traditional methods. So we need smarter systems, better ways of meeting these regulatory compliances. And the third one is the economic squeeze. So we are aware how renewable energy is creating a lot of pressure on the margins on the oil and gas industry, and that is why we need much more efficient ways of delivering results, much more efficient ways of meeting the outcomes. And because of all these reasons, this becomes very timely, that using drones and robotics, can we realize those gains? Can we really meet these factors? When we know that technology is there that can really help us, what is preventing us? What is preventing the adoption of this technology? And you will see that most of the enterprise customers are concerned about things that are listed here, and these can be put into 3 major buckets. So one is, of course, the concerns regarding data security, concerns regarding safety, reliability of AI. The second one is around workforce insecurity, like how do we deal with transition or transformation of our workforce? And the third one is all the legacy systems that we already have in place, how do we deal with that? Will AI need rip and replace of these trusted systems? That is extremely hard to do. So is there a better way to deal with that? If you see, all these issues are not really technical issues, they are more of trust issues, and there is a solution around all these issues. So let me walk you through some of the concerns and how we can potentially overcome these problems. So the first one is, of course, the security issue. And this is the most common issue when dealing with critical infrastructure, that how do we deal with data security? And how do I adopt AI? Because does that mean that I need to upload all my data, make my data available to these models, to these companies? And how can I do that for all the data that is so sacrosanct, that is so secure or private to my organization? And the answer is, now in the last few months, we have seen advancements in edge processing, where you can run very advanced models now on your edge compute. So you don't have to rely on public infrastructure. You don't have to upload your data or send your data outside your organization, and everything can be contained within your premise. So you can have completely air-gapped solutions today. And the good thing is, a lot of this technology has now become available in open source, right? So you can actually take those models, deploy it in private, completely air-gapped, disconnected from the internet, and still be able to get very good outcomes in terms of analyzing your data, getting all these insights, and getting your operations up and running. And again, dealing with compliance, so you can design all this infrastructure, all this private infrastructure in a way that it is natively compliant. So you are no longer adding security on top of an existing solution, but you are designing the solution for your organization, which is secure first, which is security first, designed around security and the concerns around data security. The second one is around workforce disruption and how to think about workforce elevation instead of disruption. How to think about freeing up people from jobs that are dangerous, that are mundane, and transitioning them into jobs that are more strategic, more decision oriented. Reduce their exposure to all these dangerous things, and then work with your workforce who are already domain experts and co-create solutions with AI, so that they become partners in designing these AI-based solutions instead of seeing them as competing with AI. And the third one is, what do you do with your legacy system? What do you do with systems that you already have in place? And the way to think about that is, instead of replacing what you already have, how can we augment it? How can we work with systems that are already there and augment them with AI, augment them with insights or understanding of all the data that is already being collected by your system of records or other systems that you already have within your enterprise. So we are not replacing anything, we are just augmenting it and making it 100x better or 10x better, and like it gets better and better with time. The important thing here is that the technology is here, AI is here, and we know how it is disrupting a lot of use cases across industries. Now, in order to make that AI work for our industry, work for the oil and gas industry or energy industry, what do we need to do? And we need to think of it as two important things or two important expertise that need to come together. So one, of course, is a domain expertise, and that is where energy leaders like you know your facilities, you know your operations, you have very deep understanding of what will work, what will not work, what are the constraints, and how to build systems that can actually deploy or deliver real value. The second piece is the AI experts, and that is where people like us who are deep into technology, who have been kind of understanding how to use this technology, how to harness this power, we can come and work closely with you. And this is amazing power that cannot be unlocked by either of these two alone. And this is where coming together or working together becomes the key. And the closely we work together, where you bring the domain expertise and we bring the AI expertise and use AI to solve your real problems. So that is going to be the defining thing for the next few years, that how closely are we able to work together in order to harness all this power and make it work for real world. The window is closing, and what I mean by that is the advancements in technology are compounding every day. It's moving very, very fast. It's moving at warp speed, right? And there will be a massive difference between the early adopters and people who are forced to adopt it in due course, because nobody is going to be left behind. Everybody will have to get on board. Now it's a matter of time. And there will be people who will be the early adopters, who will be the pioneers, and they will gain the maximum benefit out of this revolution, because the compounding will make a huge difference. So depending on how soon you get on this journey, the more benefits you will be able to derive. So this window is kind of closing, and we see next 24 to 36 months as a very critical period where we have to work very aggressively and make all this technology or translate it into real benefits ASAP. And let's paint a picture for a few years from now. That is where can we have our operations completely AI-enabled or completely rethought with AI and robotics, of course. And using these technologies, can we get to a stage where we are able to predict failure before it happens? Or are we able to respond to emergencies much more effectively than what we are able to do today? Or have systems that are able to continuously learn and optimize themselves so that you don't have to do it manually, because manually can only be so fast. But if systems can automatically harness all this data and keep improving themselves, that can be so much faster. And can you free up your workforce from the dull, dangerous jobs and deploy them for things that are much higher value? And all of these things are possible. Now, the only question is, how fast do we want to get on board and get started on this journey? So the most important thing is starting the conversation around what are your real challenges, what kind of opportunities do you see in your operations, and what would you like to transform with AI? And talking to us where we will be able to work with you and figure out what is possible from the technology side, what can AI really do for you, and maybe adopt some of the best practices from other deployments that we have done, even outside energy industry, like we have been working with the mining industry, we have been working with the rail industry. So a lot of best practices can be brought from there in terms of technology, and together with you, we can figure out what is the best way to deploy it and make it accessible to your teams. So the revolution is here. Let's work together and harness it for our physical sites. So with that, I'd like to invite you to join us at our booth later today evening or tomorrow. So we have a booth downstairs, and happy to engage in a conversation around how can we use AI to transform the physical sites. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Nitin.